There is a person you have probably met without quite realizing it. They sat near you at work, or they are somewhere in your own family, and on paper, they had every reason to keep climbing. The talent, the track record, the next title already have promised. And then with almost no noise, they stopped. No dramatic resignation, no speech about finding themselves. They just stepped off the track and walked somewhere else. And the strange part, the part that does not fit the story we tell about people like that, is how they look afterward. They're not bitter. They're not broken. In a room full of people still winning, they are somehow the calmest one there. We have a word for what they did. We call it giving up. We're using the wrong word because what looks like surrender is one of the rarest skills a human mind can build. And by the end of this, you will be able to spot it working, maybe even in yourself. Let us start fair with the people who stay. If you are still running, this is not an accusation. There is a clean, almost mechanical reason nearly everyone keeps climbing, and it has nothing to do with being shallow or greedy. It's this: the next thing always looks enormous from where you're standing. When you picture the raise, the promotion, the title, your mind drags it to the center of the frame until it feels like the one thing that will finally change everything. A Princeton psychologist named Daniel Kahneman, who won a Nobel for studying exactly these glitches in judgment, gave it a name: the focusing illusion. Whatever you focus on feels far more important than it will ever be once it's yours. So you chase it, not because you're foolish, because your brain is doing the one thing every brain does. It inflates the prize. It looks bigger from far away. That's not a flaw in you. That is the lens every person is handed at birth. So what's actually different about the ones who walk away? Almost nothing. They are not wiser. They didn't read the perfect book or grow up with some secret. They just ran the same experiment enough times to catch the trick in the act. They reached the thing, felt it melt into normal within weeks, and were already scanning for the next one. And this is not soft or fringe science. In the 1970s, researchers tracked people who had just won the lottery, then checked in months later. The winners were no happier than people who had never won. And stranger still, the small pleasures of ordinary life had started to taste a little flatter than before. Everyone who has chased something and reached it gets handed this exact data. Most of us never read it. They did. That is the whole difference. Not better, just paying attention. You will know quickly if this is you. You got the 8% raise, and on Friday it felt like proof of everything. By the next Friday, it was just your salary again. You hit the goal you had put your whole year around, and the high was gone before the weekend was over. Someone slid the promotion across the table: more money, more meetings, more weekends that stopped being yours. And instead of pride came something closer to dread you could not explain. And then the smallest moment, the one that gives it away. You stood somewhere quiet after the biggest win of your life, and a voice asked, "Is this it?" That voice is not depression. That voice is doing the math. Here is the trait underneath all of it, the one nobody names because you cannot see it from outside. Call it calibration. It is the ability to price a reward by what it will actually feel like after the shine wears off, not by what it promises while you're still daydreaming. Almost no one does this naturally. We're built to buy the brochure. The quiet exiter learned to read the receipt instead. And something almost eerie sits underneath that skill. Researchers at Stanford slid people into a brain scanner and asked them to imagine themselves far in the future. For most, the brain lit up the way it does for a complete stranger, as if future you were someone else. The ones who could feel that future self vividly as genuinely them were the ones who made the patient, long-game choices everyone else found impossible. That is the quiet exiter's hidden muscle, not an absence of ambition, but a stubborn, vivid sense of the person who has to live with tomorrow's bill. It looks bigger from far away, and they finally stopped falling for it. But do not let anyone hand you the clean version. Stepping off costs something real. There is the silence. No scoreboard means no applause, and applause is a drug you do not notice until it is gone. There is the identity vertigo, and the financial anxiety that does not vanish just because you found some peace. And the part nobody warns you about, the free time itself can feel like dread at first. You finally have the slow morning you fought for, and instead of relief, you feel guilty, restless, like you are getting away with something. The chase used to fill that space. Now there is just space. That is the honest cost. Anyone who tells you it's pure serenity is selling you something. And here's where the easy version falls apart. The obvious lesson, the one that fits on a poster, is want less, kill the ambition, stop caring. And that is exactly wrong. That is not what these people did. They did not stop wanting. They did not go numb. They did something stranger and much harder to copy. They moved the scoreboard inside. The bug was never ambition. It was outsourcing the price tag, letting a system that profits from your running decide what your effort is worth. The quiet exiter took that job back. They stopped asking the world what counts and started deciding it themselves. And that changes what a reward even is. A reward you chose yourself does not evaporate the way a borrowed one does. The pride in a thing you built that no one will ever promote you for, that stays. The slow morning you decided counts as a life well spent, that stays. You are not trading a big life for a small one. You're trading a reward that was always on loan for one that is finally yours. It was never less. It was just finally yours to price. And you can build this. It's not a personality you're born with. It's closer to a muscle. Every time you feel the pull of the next rung, you ask, am I pricing the arrival or the adaptation? Every time something glitters, you ask, whose scoreboard set this value and do I still agree? You catch the illusion once, then twice, and slowly it becomes the way you see. One decision at a time, you build a meter the world can outreach. So if you are standing in that quiet right now, if you have stepped back or you are about to, and some voice keeps whispering that you just gave up, hear this. That thing you keep calling laziness, it is not. It is a nervous system that lost its old scoreboard and has not built the new one yet. That guilt you feel when you rest, that is the residue of a metric that was never yours. And that restlessness in the empty afternoon, that is not failure. That is the silence right before your own voice finally starts to speak. You did not fall behind. You stepped off a track that was never measuring the thing that matters. It looks bigger from far away. You are simply the one who walked close enough to see. And you are not the only one. There is a quiet, growing number of people reading the same receipt and reaching the same decision, almost all of them in silence. You cannot see them, and that's the point. They do not announce it, they just change their lives. But there is a harder version waiting, the one that comes after. What happens when you finally win the rest you fought for and still can't let yourself enjoy it? The people who feel a stab of guilt the instant they sit down? That is a different decode, and it is the next one we will open.